Lavoisier was the first scientist to define what an element was, a substance that could not be decomposed by existing chemical means.
This is the manuscript.
And he set about drawing up a definitive list of all the elements. Now 33 replaced the ancient 4. So this is it. This is Lavoisier's original list of elements. It's in French and it's in his handwriting, but I can still sort of pick out what it says. He's divided them up into 4 groups, 4 categories of elements. There's the gases, the non-metals, metals and earths. You can see among the gases he's got oxygen and hydrogen. He didn't get it all right. I see he lists here arsenic and antimony among his metals. Today they're not considered to be metals. But even more fascinating, he has lumière or light and calorique, heat, listed among his elements in the gases. Of course, light and heat we know now to be just pure energy. But these mistakes apart, this was a huge leap forward in chemistry. It was an early realization that perhaps there was some order to the elements, some grand pattern to the building blocks of our world. And Lavoisier didn't stop there. He created a system to classify the discoveries of many other chemists and set out to transform the language of chemistry. He began a revolution of scientific vocabulary, replacing the picturesque and poetic with precision. So dephlogisticated air became oxygen. Astringent Mars saffron became iron oxide. Oil of vitriol became sulfuric acid, and philosophical wool became zinc oxide. At last, there was a universal language to identify the elements. Lavoisier left an incredible legacy. He'd cast out old dogma and replaced it with an empirical approach. There was no going back. Experimentation could now prove or disprove the most radical of ideas. But scientists were still convinced that more elements must be out there and were desperate to find new ways of revealing them. Matter remained fundamentally impenetrable, and it would take a powerful and dangerous force to find a new way of splitting it apart. Enter Humphrey Davy, a wild, charismatic Cornish scientist who frequently courted jeopardy. He was Professor of Chemistry at the Royal Institution in London. On the 6th of October 1807, Davy was working away in the basement where he'd adapted the servants' quarters to make a lab. He'd been working with some crystalline salts called potash. Lavoisier had been unable to break it down and reckoned that it was an element. But Davy wasn't convinced. He suspected that potash was made up of more than one element. But no matter how hard people had tried, potash had defeated them. There just didn't seem to be any way that chemistry could break it down.